Hello, welcome to my official sword guide. I am very sick. Not very, I'm a little sick, if you can't tell. My voice is fucked up a little bit, that's fine. But this is my sword guide. There are three main things you can do with a sword. Which together create a lot more things you can do. First off, there's the basic swing. You do it by just pressing mouse button 1. If you hit something, or like if you hit someone, it'll combo into a 3-hit swing. I don't have anyone with me because I'm alone, but that's what that does. It does like I think 30 damage a swing, so it's 4 to kill a full health player. Then there's blocking. It blocks sword hits and knife throws. And knife hits. And then you can jump while blocking to do a sword hop. Very good for movement and staying unpredictable. This is one of the main reasons I use sword. It's some of the best movement in the game. Some of the most creative movement in the game. While the new grappling hook obviously has good movement, it doesn't have the breadth that sword does, in my opinion, and the freedom. And then there's a heavy attack. You hold down a sword, you do a heavy attack, it is garbage, basically. It's garbage on its own. Without doing the sword lunge tech, it is absolutely atrocious. You should never be doing this. I believe it does about 50 damage, if I remember correctly. It's been a hot sec since I played this game, but I remember all the important stuff. So 2 of those will kill a 50 HP player, or a 100 HP player. And then now we're gonna get onto tech. That's the main 3 things you can do: block, attack, and charge. Now tech, there is sword lunge, which is just a heavy attack. Basic. I'll do it on the dock so you can see the distance. It's not very far. Very, very not far. Also, while you're running up, you can't really move a lot. However, if you block before you do, you're able to move a lot. This is because the block has its own movement cancellation, but when you stop blocking, it stops the movement cancellation. So the stop blocking overrides the the beginning of the movement cancellation of the heavy attack, which gives you free movement. Basically, if you block first, you'll be able to move a lot before you do it, including jumping. Normally you can't jump while your heavy attack is going, but if you block first, you can jump, which gives you a lot more distance and is a lot more effective at dealing damage and staying mobile. Now, what I just did was a sword lunge. If you jump during it, it'll move you a lot forward. It'll make the sword hitbox cover a much larger distance, so you'll be able to hit enemies from further away. It's basically the ranged attack of the sword. It is somewhat forgiving timing. It's not super hard to get a handle of, and you want to be generally moving forward or backwards while you're doing it. See, I jumped too early there. You should jump right when the sword lunges forward, and you can see that white trail. But if you're having trouble getting the timing down, you can look down on a dock and jump the second you hear the sword hit the wood. So I'll do that again. And then you'll move the full width of the full length of the dash. There's also a water sword lunge. Just if you sword lunge into water, it'll preserve your momentum. You can go pretty far. That is very helpful for solos. The sword is the solo's best friend, in my opinion. This next tip took a little bit of setup, so, you know. Obviously, there's some water down here. This is for sword hopping, actually. When you're sprinting, you don't go as fast when you're like neck deep in water. Not this much on this barrel. So what you want to do is you want to sword hop. Sword hopping, its movement is not affected by water, so you can sword hop to get through it more quickly. This is actually why, if you watch like competitive, like really sweaty SOTS battles, like especially galleon fights, like NIL, the bilge, whose job is to, you know, keep the ship afloat, will always have a sword on them. It's not because they think the weapon's good for 4v4s, but because it is very convenient to moving quicker and keeping themselves alive faster or longer. So obviously you can patch a hole here, then you can patch a hole here, then you can, you know, bucket. It's just overall very useful for staying efficient. It isn't just a galleon thing. It helps with sloops as well. Especially when you're below deck, you know, that's how you get your wood often, how you get your food. If you don't have storage crates above, you know, if you're not playing Hourglass, which if you're playing Hourglass, you should have storage crates above. It should not necessarily be all of your stuff, but you should have storage crates above, so it's easier for everyone to get to. But yeah, if you're just playing Adventure and, you know, you didn't want to buy a storage crate for whatever fucking reason, it is helpful to get stuff. This is me while I'm editing. I did forget to mention that enemies, you can't walk through them. They block your movement. So if you're stuck like right here and enemies right here and you have to get past them, Sword Lunge actually removes that, so you can hop through them. That's another reason why I feel like the sword is very, very good for smaller crews. Because then you can move through enemies very effectively. So, you know, if you're blocking their attacks, if they're sorting, that kind of thing, move through them. Just be careful if they're blundering you. I mean, that's basically the effective range of the blunder. You can get backtracked sometimes with higher lag. It happens. You're just gonna have to deal with it. Like 8 times out of 10, maybe it doesn't happen, but it does. This game's laggy. It's really big. Turn down your graphic settings just for frames. It doesn't really affect it. It's more a ping thing. But you know, it happens. Shit happens. You gotta deal with it. That's the game. Alright, that's it. That's the main things that only include the sword. For movement, I will say, you can sword hop the second your sword is the second you press right click if you last hold your sword. So what you can do to stay mobile is to sprint and then sword hop to the left or right. And the right click will stop the sprint, so you don't have to worry about, you know, S keying or anything like that. This isn't Minecraft. Yeah, and it just lets you stay particularly mobile, especially, you know, against enemies with like snipers and stuff. You move very unpredictably, and it's much better than just jumping, because jumping puts you in an extremely predictable arc. You move very quickly horizontally when sword hopping. It's very good. And then there's one last little piece of tech I want to give you guys. It has to do with Quick Swap, which they removed back in season 10? So obviously this, you know, it's a double gunning thing. So, you know, back in the day, you could shoot, instantly switch, sprint, and then shoot. But they removed that. As you can see, I can't do that. I'll obviously have to reload. I'm not a double gunner, if you can't tell. Delay swap exists, where if you do... I fucked it up. But basically, delay swap exists, so it's still technically possible to go faster than base. But one thing one oversight they had is that only matters if you shoot a gun first. So if you shoot, you know, your blunderbuss or a flintlock or another weapon or another gun before you swap and then sprint, that's only when the delay activates. So that means you can still quick swap off sword. So if you're holding your sword out, and here's the the button presses, you pull out the weapon, you sprint, you scope, and shoot. You don't have to scope technically, but it helps. I find it's very helpful, you know, just for general tips. But one thing you can do with sword, instead of just, you know, obviously being able to pull out your gun quickly is a plus. But if you hop, you can stay very mobile and then immediately shoot, basically, which is very helpful if you're running Eye of Reach sword and you're against people who are double gunning. It keeps you mobile, which makes you harder to hit. You can block attacks while you're hopping, and also it just generally keeps you mobile and more effective as a sword user. Those are all the general tips I have. I had some advanced ones. There's yeah, that's mostly it. If you want to practice your sword hops, you know, while you're sprinting, there are different areas you can do it, but like just running on your ship and then sword hopping when you like get to a cannon like this generally helps. It isn't really effective on the galleon because it's most effective on the sloop where this is down, the mast's like right here and the cannon's right here. It's a very precise timing on the sloop, but it'll help you stay mobile. Oh, one last final piece of tip I forgot to mention earlier. If you're sword launching but you don't want to anymore, you can grab onto things like the cannon, the anchor, the sails, the wheel, the map table. And it still does do the, if you wait until it charges. Oh, that was a C, not the map table. This used to be a map table spot. Back in I'm old. It'll still do the damage, so you can delay it just to do the damage and then get yourself back. But if you hit someone while sword lunging, you get your movement back anyway. Immediately, it only stuns you if you miss. So that's not super useful. It's only really useful for canceling your sword lunge if they, you know, hide, so you don't get incur the movement debuff. Like right now, I can't move. And that's mostly everything. You know, practice your sword lunges on docks or on ships. Just jump the second you hear the sword hit the wood. You practice your quick swaps. A lot of old guides, like pre-season 10, talk about quick swap. I would recommend going there if you're having trouble with it. I know how to do it. I don't know how to explain it well, though. And just generally, yeah, keep yourself mobile and stay safe out there. That's about it. All right. See ya.